Hello, everyone. Doug Thompson here, president of Floyd Wickman Canada. I just wanted to say hello and tell you that today we're going to jump into doing a full listing presentation the way I believe it should be done. I've used my wife today within our My Real Estate presentation, as you can see, and I have my friend Brandon on the line that's going to interact with us as if he was the client. Hello, Brandon.
Hi, Doug. Thanks for
So,
having me.
very much love to have you here, and we really look forward to moving forward and putting this presentation together so everybody can enjoy the power of a good listing presentation. For your own presence later on, you could definitely go ahead and look up myrealestatepresentations.ca or go to our website and go to floydwickmantraining.com and be able to see more about the listing presentations that are in front of you today. So let's get started. What I would do is I would set the stage as if we have come up to the front door, rang the bell, took a step back, smiled, took them in, paid a compliment, go to the kitchen table, break the ice, or small talk smart, which means talk about anything except real estate until the customer is ready to get started. How do we know that the customer is ready to get started? Is because their shoulders will drop, they'll lean in, they'll feel more comfortable, their voice inflection will come down a little bit, and you can just see that they're more than ready to get started to talk about real estate. So when that happens, now is when your opportunity to kick into gear. Needless to say, you've already got your computer set up in whatever format that you have it, whether it's an iPad or a computer, so you can just pop it open, hooked up to your own internet source on your phone, or tether it, and you're able to just move forward and actually start your presentation right on cue, as if this is where it was, with, of course, your picture in there and your personal information. So you're able to kick right into your presentation, and now we will get started accordingly. So thank you, Brandon, for giving us the opportunity to be here today. I really appreciate your time. And what I'd like to do, if I could, please, is I'd like to show you how I work. May I begin?
Sure.
I can promise you, Brandon, I'm not here for the sheer sake of taking a listing. Anybody can do that. Have you ever heard of the expired list, Brandon?
No, I haven't. What's that?
Okay, well, it's a list of people that have two things in common. Number one, they have actually went ahead and tried to sell their house and didn't get it sold. And I'm sure that's something that you definitely would not want to have happen. Would you agree?
Yeah, no.
Well, and the second thing would be that they and the other real estate agent should never agree to work together, excuse me, because they didn't work together as a team. That's why the home didn't sell. And you do want to sell your home, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So to make that happen today, what I've done is I put together an infallible marketing system. As a matter of fact, it's a 5-step process. And if you're okay with it, Brandon, what I'd like to do today is I'd like to go ahead and go through that 5-step process with you now. May I begin?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, great. So in the 5-step process, we're going to cover off is first we're going to talk about understanding your concerns. What that is a series of questions that we're going to ask you about making sure that you're comfortable with going forward to actually getting your home for sale, such as your financing, such as when do you want to move, where do you want to move, and so on. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Second thing that we're going to do is talk about analyzing your property. What that means is we're going to get up, walk around, have a look at your home. When we go through your home, we're going to be able to ask all the different things about your home and find out the reasons that you personally bought your home and the reason that you think you could sell me your home. So in other words, you're going to be the seller, I'm going to be the buyer, and we're going to go forward and actually see your home to its entirety so we don't miss anything that could show us some value. Fair enough?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, great. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go through a customized marketing plan that I've created just for you. And at the end of the day, what we're going to do is we're going to cover off on 3 different areas. We're going to talk about my company, my marketing plan, and me. And by the time we're done all that, I can virtually guarantee you we will show you exactly how we're going to get your home sold. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little about price and estimate of net. At the end of the day, we talked a little bit about the price. Obviously, price is important to everybody. But with that, we want to make sure that we tell you or explain to you what the net dollars in your pocket is. Because the amount of money that you have to spend to go forward to buy or to retire or whatever you're going to do with the money is the most important thing to you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Okay, great. So what we do next is, of course, we're going to talk about the forms, the details, and the timing. At the end of the day, we'll go through the forms. We'll go through a step-by-step process as far as all of the forms so that we can make you feel comfortable and confident about those forms. Because you know and I know you've signed something in the past that you really didn't understand what you were signing, such as a mortgage maybe. Would you agree?
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
Exactly. Nobody wants to sign something that they don't know. So we're going to be very thorough with that. Then it comes to the details. The details are the little things that happen between the day that we start and the day that we finish in the process in your home. I promise you, I don't know what it's going to be, but there's always one little thing that happens just before the closing, and I'll be there to catch you because I'm a professional to look after that for you. That would be important to you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would expect that. I hope for that.
Yeah, and for sure we'll look after that. Next to that, we're going to look at the timing. At the end of the day, what the timing is the amount of time it's going to take, number one, to get your home sold, and number two, to make sure that we end up with the right timing, meaning that the date that you actually want to move into your home also matches to the date that you sell your home, because we surely don't want you living on the street. And after thousands of years of, or many years of sales and many closed transactions, we at this company have never had anybody live on the street yet, and we surely don't want you to be the first. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
That's true. So last but not least, I'd like to come to a mutual decision. You're okay to work with me, and I'm okay to work with you. How are we doing so far?
So far, so good.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead then. We'll start and we'll go through addressing your concerns or understanding your concerns. So as you can see, I have a series of questions I'd like to ask you. And for this presentation, obviously, our clients out there, we're not going to run through every individual question so that we have to get the answers. But the stock questions are already here in the presentation for you, so you're able to go ahead and ask them and get the answers and expand from that point. Very important point at this time is make sure you remember and ask all the questions. Even if you've even asked the questions on the phone, ask them again, because you want to make sure that their minds haven't changed or their mindsets haven't changed from when you talk to them on the phone until you're sitting right in front of them, because sometimes it will. Also, make sure that you have your talking pad out, and which is your notepad that you have in front of you, and you're going forward to actually make notes on every question as you do. The reason that you do that is, number one, they know that you've listened because you actually made a note, and you know that you can go back to it if you need to anytime during the presentation. But as you can see, these questions get progressively more gutsier, meaning that they're harder to ask. So when we go to the next page, as far as the questions go, as you can see, the last question is the most complicated question for every realtor out there to actually ask. So for today's purposes, I'll ask it the way it should be asked. Well, Brandon, what would it take today to get you to list your home with me today?
Will you cut your commission?
You know, commission's important to you and commission's important to me. But I promise you, at the end of the day, before we're done today, we'll get to a commission that you're comfortable with and I'm comfortable with. Fair enough?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so why don't we move forward then? And would there be anything else that would hold you back, Brandon?
No, I think I just need to feel comfortable moving forward with you. That's all.
Okay, and I look forward to do that. Now, at this point in time, obviously, gang, we have went ahead and written down on our talking pad commission, because commission was something that came up. So we want to make sure that sometime over the next hour in our presentation that we make sure that they're comfortable with commission. So now, moving forward, what we'd like to do is we'd like to analyze your home. So what we're going to do is we're going to get up now, walk around your house, and you're going to be the seller, I'm going to be the buyer. And please, Brandon, tell me everything that there is to know about your home, because of course you know it better than anybody. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Now this, gang, this is the time for you to shine. This is the time for you to take your time. Don't rush through this. Make sure everybody that is on title that has to sign comes with you on this part of the presentation. Why? Because you got to make sure that those people all understand what you're going to do and how you're going to do it to help them sell their home. And you need to take the time to stop, hypothetically. If you see some really nice pictures of the grandkids there, you need to stop and say, hey, who's this? And then take the time for them to explain and talk to you, because your time to shine means your time to build rapport. And if you do this right, by the time you go back to the kitchen table, you will be far further along the line to actually getting a listing signed than you were before you left the kitchen table. I promise you. Don't miss this step. This is a golden opportunity for building rapport and getting listings signed. So next, what I'd like to do is talk about our customized marketing plan. Now, just before you sit down at the kitchen table, another important step that you got to remember to do is to give them a compliment. Say, as an example, they have a beautiful rose garden out back. Say, you know, I can't believe it, but just even though we spent so much time there, I'd really like to compliment you one more time on that rose garden. That was really something. You know, the amount of time and energy you put into that, it's really amazing, Brandon. You did a great job on that.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it took a lot of time, but I'm quite proud.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely something to see. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to continue now and talk about our marketing plan. That'd be all right with you?
Sure.
Okay, great. So within our marketing plan, as you can see, there's 3 different areas that we're going to cover off on today. The first one, of course, is our company, then our marketing services, last but not least is me. So if you're all right with it, I'd like to go ahead now and start to talk about our company. So first of all, when you look at our company, there are 5 different areas that we have put forward that we think are really important for you to actually hear a little bit about our company. Now, you're comfortable with placeholder realty, right, Brandon?
Yep. I know the name.
Okay. Yeah, so you've seen our signs around and so on, right? Well, that's all about brand recognition. And then now that's where I'm going to stop, gang, because what you're going to do is you're going to have a slide that's built after this presentation, after this slide, that will actually cover off on every single bullet that you put in here that actually covers off on that subject that is there. So obviously, team referral services. You're going to talk about your team and your referral services across the country and how it would benefit you to actually, as a client, to be part of our team and our referral services to get your home sold faster. Cutting edge technology, same thing. Proven results, same thing, you know? So each one of these bullets will have a slide as the next slide that you would do. I just don't have it in today because I don't want to bore this situation as we go through. The idea is for you to learn how to do a presentation, not actually do the presentation. So once you've covered off on each point, you would continue on and you would cover off on my marketing services. So thanks for taking a minute and going through that, Brandon. What I'd like to do now, if I could please, is go over that customized marketing plan that I created just for you to get your home sold. Would you mind if we do that?
Yep. Let's do it.
Okay, great. So the first thing we want to talk about is our just listed and just sold campaign. Now, same thing, gang. We go all the way through this and we hit on every bullet and we do what is called a polka here, meaning we touch on each bullet to explain here's the things that we're going to cover off on in the marketing plan. And then hypothetically, as I said, your next slide would be all about just listed and just sold campaign. That's not the order I put it in because what I want to show you is that behind this slide in our customized marketing plan that we have in my real estate presentations, we have a bunch of stock slides in here that you would actually be able to go through, and we'll just touch on a couple of them as we go through as an example. So when we see here, we look at our marketing plan. Well, today within our marketing plan, you know, there's many things that I do, Brandon, to help you to get your home sold. But one of them is create an online presence and an offline marketing plan to create your home to get sold. Can you see how this might be a benefit to you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we definitely do a great job of that. And before we leave today, I'll go through all of that with you. Fair enough?
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay, great. Social networking, of course, is a very important part of our marketing plan today. So what does that mean? Well, we're connected in many different areas in our community today through social networking, through, of course, online social, and also through us personally throughout the community everywhere we go. Because, you know, the more things that we're involved in, the more people we touch, the better chance we might have to sell your home. Fair enough? Okay, great. So now each one of these bullets are just slides we put in that will give you the opportunity to not have to build a new slide when you come forward to actually use my real estate presentations. So we'll just touch on it. Obviously, you're going to touch on professional photography and you're going to expand on the difference between no photography at all, because we've all seen that, or crappy photos that are out there. We've all seen that. And ultimately how good and why you use professional photography. You know, you might use professional measurements, you might not, you might, depending on where you're at and how important that is. Staging is another thing that you can decide to go forward and use. I am very much a believer in staging. And so if this is a service that you offer, great. If it's not, maybe it's something that you should look into to find in your community to help market and make you stand out compared to your competitors in the industry. Professional flyers, what do you do? What don't you do? Obviously, at this point, you would have brought along some examples of your professional flyers that you have that you would actually be able to demonstrate or explain to Brandon at this point in the presentation. So Brandon, what do you think of my professional flyers today?
Yeah, they look good.
Okay, yeah, and this is something that we do beyond a shadow of a doubt with every client, because we believe it's really important to step up above the average in the crowd. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, great. So we also do video presentations, and of course you're going to explain that. And then you're going to go through, of course, all the different ones as far as online traffic and so on. Then it's open houses. Open houses, I want you to make very clear on how you deliver open houses. And the reason for that is that open houses is something that you have to actually ask permission for. Don't assume that people want you to do open houses, because some people don't like open houses. So we need to say to the customer, meaning I'm going to say to Brandon now as the example, well, Brandon, please tell me, what's your feeling on open houses? Do you like them? Do you dislike them?
You know, with my property, I have a few people living here. It would be hard to coordinate that and the whole property itself. Um, is there a way that we could show just the outside and have a private showings for inside?
Well, we probably could, anything is available, right? But at the end of the day, you do want to sell your house, right?
Yeah, I do.
Well, and why I asked that question is because exposure is key to getting your home sold. The more available you make your home to be exposed, the better chance your home will be to sell. So therefore, the more people that we put in front of it, better chance it might sell. Does that mean that we'll have an open house and somebody will walk in and buy it that day? No. But does that mean that it has happened? Very much so. Happens all the time. So at the end of the day, what do you think? If we could maximize the exposure within the selling of your home, do you think that might be smart for you?
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. Would I get notice? How
Of
would I have
course,
notice?
of course,
Okay.
of course. We'll give you much notice, usually at least like a week in advance. Because why? Because we want to start marketing it at least a week in advance to be able to let everybody know that we're doing it and how we're going to do it and how we're going to make sure that at the end of the day, it's the most successful for you. Fair enough?
Yeah, okay, that sounds good.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead then? And then, of course, now, gang, we would go ahead and explain the benefits to an open house. Needless to say, we have to make sure the customer's on side first before we can try to persuade them into actually having an open house, because they may have a bad experience in the past or whatever is the situation. But ask first, get permission, and then move forward. Last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about me. Now, when we talk about me, that's just definitely you. All the different things that you've done to make you stand out as a real estate agent at the end of the day today. Now, cutting edge training, well, of course, we at the Floyd Wickman organization believe that we've done a fairly good job of training people. Brandon's one of my students throughout the Vancouver area and does a great job over there and definitely knows what he's doing. So if you have any referrals and you're looking for somebody in Vancouver, I'll point you in the direction of Brandon. At the end of the day, we'll go through our same 5 bullets exactly like we have today and express each individual one that you've put in there. Of course, these would be your points, not mine, as to what you have touched on and why they're there to make you stand out as a professional in the real estate industry today. In Brandon's case, he's an engineer. So obviously you would put in there that you're an engineer and you would touch on the process of going through being an engineer. So Brandon, did being an engineer, has that ever helped you in the real estate industry?
Oh yeah. I've gotten business just because I was an engineer and somebody else was an engineer as well.
So there you go. That's the idea, gang. Put stuff here that helps you and makes you stand out. And at the end of the day, that'll help you to get business. Personally, I worked at Coca-Cola for many years. And at the end of the day, I've had many clients that say, oh, I know somebody that worked there. And that brought us just a little closer together to actually moving forward to actually doing business together. You never know what that last feather on your side is that's going to get them to list with you. So go over each bullet, make sure the next slides are going to be of each one of your bullets and go from there. So now when we're done with my company, my marketing plan, and me, I'd like to go to this slide. Now what this slide is there for is to make you ask one of the toughest questions out there in the real estate industry today. And it's there because we need you to ask this question. This is a power question. Floyd calls this a guts gauge question and a guts gauge closing question number 5, meaning it's a tough one. And I'll tell you what the question is now. So, Brandon, if you're okay with my company, my marketing plan, and me, and assuming we could agree on price, would you go ahead and list your home with me today?
I usually like to think about this sort of thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you'd like to think about it, would you? Is that
Hmm.
true? Okay, good, good. So no problem. You probably have a good reason for feeling that way. Do you mind if I ask what it is?
I just want to make sure that I don't rush in and that I know my options. Yeah, basically, I don't want to rush into anything.
Okay, okay, good. Can you see any reason that would hold you back or a drawback to you that if you didn't go ahead and list today?
No, not really.
Okay. So is that the only thing that's holding you back, Brandon?
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want to feel rushed. That's all.
Okay, so if I could show you beyond a shadow of a doubt that waiting might not be in your best interest, would you consider to actually move forward now rather than waiting? Would you?
Well, if you could show me that, I guess I'd have to consider it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So curiosity question, Brandon, have you ever heard of the timing analysis?
No. What's that?
Okay, well, what the timing analysis is it's an overview of the amount of time that's going to take us to put your home in the market, get it sold, and at the end of the day, get you your money, because that's important, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
why we're.
and that's why we're here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so at the end of the day, what we're looking at is that you wanted to move, if I remember right, today by somewhere around the end of August, right?
Yeah, about 2.5 months from now.
Okay, and that's still what you're thinking, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so good. So let me get, if I could show you what the timing analysis is, please, I can go through that and we can actually show you that maybe we don't have quite as much time as we think. Fair enough?
Sure.
Okay, great. So as you can see here today, when we look at our real estate timing analysis, there's some areas that we'd like to cover off on. Now, gang, at this exact point, obviously, we're going to deliver this actual hot button, as we call it in the Wickman organization, on our talking pad or on our notepad. This part of it, whether we show on the screen, is just to show them what the timing analysis is. And as you've seen, the drop-down menu that we use within the presentation takes us directly to where we wanted to be in the presentation as far as to talk about a particular hot button to handle Brandon's hesitation, which was, I want to wait. Timing analysis will solve that 9 out of 10 times every time. So I'm going to go ahead now and demonstrate for you what the timing analysis is. So at the end of the day, Brandon, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you this. Now, you said you wanted to wait. How long did you think you wanted to wait for?
Uh, Maybe a few days, maybe a week.
Maybe a week. Okay. So here we are, June 22nd. And so you said you wanted to wait. So that would take us out to maybe June 29th or 30th, somewhere in that range. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So then in today's market, we're looking at marketing time. So marketing time is changing in our market today. And, originally we could put a sign up and it was sold in a day. Well, we know today that has changed and it definitely is stretching out a little bit. So as of this morning, average marketing time in your neck of the woods where we're living today is 30 days. Sometimes, yes, it can sell quicker. I'm not saying it won't, but average is 30 days. So if we look at now June 30th, hypothetically, and we put 30 days, that's going to take us to the end of July. So then we look at adjusted marketing time. Adjusted marketing time is to be explained this way, is that the true marketing time that's within our computers today doesn't give us an accurate date for the scenario to what we're looking at. Why? Because of expireds and because of the relists. Because if we continued those two dates on, it would raise up the actual marketing days on time or days on market. So at the end of the day, what we look at, we use a rule of thumb of 50% at this point in time to do that. So that'll give us another 15 days. So now we move ahead from the end of July to the middle of August due to adjusted marketing time. Next, we look at processing time. Processing time is the amount of days that it's going to take to get your conditions removed. Well, you're going to need a little help to get your everything put together as far as to move forward. Wouldn't you agree, Brandon? You're going to need maybe some financing and a home inspection and so on. You're planning on having all that done. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, exactly.
So in today's world, we're probably looking at, 3 to 5 to 10 business days, somewhere in that range, depending on what market you're in, to be able to get that done. So if we said just even a week in total, so 5 business days, we're now looking at the third week in August as far as to be able to move so far in that range. So now we look at possession. Well, possession is the number of days after all the conditions are removed to the average day that we can actually get in a home. Well, we know that in most markets, you're looking 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, something like that. So for today's example, if I use 60 days, and I've already been to the third week in August, now we're looking at third week in September, third week in October. So it looks to me like where we're sitting today as far as total estimated time today, Brennan, we'd be looking at, you're going to be moving somewhere around the end of September, beginning of October. How does that work into your plans?
Well, that doesn't work. The kids need to be in school before then.
I couldn't agree more. So in all fairness, what do you think? Do you think we have the extra time that you were thinking about?
Yeah, maybe not.
So maybe we should actually look at moving forward. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so then we have to look at that as far as to know the timing, and fair enough. And we'll move forward as far as that. So you can see, gang out there, that at the end of the day, when you learn how to deliver this timing analysis, it will eliminate that problem most of the time. So now we also need to remember one thing in every presentation. When you leave your spot where you were in a presentation, this is one of the reasons why my real estate presentation is such a great presentation, is that you can actually drop right down to where you were and go right back to where you were by a drop down menu again to take you right back to this slide, because that's where you left off, and you're able to move right forward, not like a normal PowerPoint where that would be way more complicated to do that. So it looks to me like what we need to do now is talk a little bit about price. Wouldn't you agree, Brendan?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Why don't we go ahead and do that then? So as I said, we're going to talk about find a fair price that you're happy with, that I'm happy with, and we're going to come to an estimated net as to what really is the amount of money in your pocket. So let's have a look at the pricing triangle if we could. When we're looking at pricing, Brandon, we're looking at three different areas of price. There's wholesale, there's retail, and of course there's your price. And we're going to cover off on all those right now if we could, please. First of all, wholesale. Wholesale is when we look at a price that is usually maybe 15 or 20% less than a retail price. Now think about it this way. You're thinking you want to sell your house at around $1 million. So, wholesale maybe be 850 or 900. Do you think you'd consider to sell it for 850 or 900?
No.
No, I guess not. Most people wouldn't. Yes, I can totally agree with that. But then when we look at retail, retail is an arm's length transaction. A buyer and a seller meet together at a fair price that they're happy with. And that's really what we're looking for. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now when we're looking at your price, well, we haven't come to that yet, but we will in a minute. And let's just go ahead and talk about that in a minute or two if we could. Fair enough?
Sure.
Okay, great. So as we look at the timing triangle below, what this means and what we're trying to demonstrate here is that I promise you, we can get 100% of the value for you, which is the dollar sign on the left, compared to the number of days that you give us to actually get the job done. Now, we've kind of talked a little bit about this by going through the real estate timing analysis. Can you see what I mean now? If we shorten up the number of days that it takes to get the job done, there's only one thing we have to do to get that done. We have to lower the, help me?
Price.
You have to lower the price. That only makes sense. But we don't want to do that, do you?
No, I want to list high and leave room to negotiate.
Yes, let's see, you're just like most people. But at the end of the day, if we list high, we probably aren't going to be able to make that August 31st date that you're looking for as far as a possession date. Seems to me that's really important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so why don't we do this? I don't mind. Why don't I go ahead now and we'll talk a little bit about price, and we'll actually go through our pricing presentation if we could, please. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay, great. So what I do as far as a pricing presentation, gang, is that we have a step-by-step process that I go through, and it's very simple and easy, so I'll explain it to you. What we do is we get as many in the three different areas of price that we can talk about, which is, of course, is the expireds, the actives, and the solds. We bring all three of those with us as to do our CMA that we put together. Now, at the end of the day, of course, there's three different areas of price too. So number one, if they agree on a price, you and customer agree on a price, you've looked at the home now, you know that that price was fair, you would say, Brandon, it looks to me like on the phone, we agreed that you thought your house is worth maybe around $1 million, and now you're still thinking $1 million. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So I think that probably what we should do is go ahead and put it on at somewhere around, 995, 888 or something along that line. Does that sound fair to you?
But what if they want to negotiate us down?
Well, you see, we can do the one thing, we can do this in two different ways. We can price it very accurately and negotiate very little, or we can price it way high and actually miss a bunch of our buyers and negotiate a lot. Which one do you think is better?
Well, whatever gets me the price. So I guess having more buyers and negotiating a little if you can do that.
Yes, we can. I know, I can tell you how I know that is that with my marketing that I've done over the years, my list price to sales price ratio is 99%. So what that means is that the homes that I list sell at 99% of list price all the time. Reason for that is that we
Wow.
actually know the pricing of homes. Impressive?
Yeah.
Yes, I can tell by your smile. So I just wanted to make sure that you were comfortable with that. And I promise you, if we price it right, it'll sell. So that's the first example as far as price, gang. The second example is that you're a little bit out of whack, meaning that you're the price that the customer wants compared to the price that you're suggesting is a little bit out of whack. Now you got to do a CMA and actually go through the step-by-step, which we'll do in a second. The third way is when you're way out of whack, and meaning that's hypothetically maybe you're 20% or 25%, the customer's higher than where you think the real value of the home is, then you have to go into a whole different analogy, and we don't have time to go through that today, so we're not going to do that. But we're going to go through now and just demonstrate how you would handle the actual presenting of a CMA. So I believe there's a very simple way to do it when you present a CMA so that you get to get your price every time. And your price every time, as I just demonstrated, is very important. So at the end of the day, there's three different areas of price that you're going to cover off on. You're going to talk about the expireds, the actives, and the solds. Now on your talking pad, you would write expireds on the top. Then what you do is you have brought with you now as many expireds as you can that match that customer's property. You know, we want 4 or 5 or 6 if we can to compare if possible. If you can't get them, you can't get them. I understand that. But at the end of the day, we want to have as many as we can. So let's do it this way. So go ahead and hand that customer those 5 comparisons and then say to them, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're going to work together as a team to get this sold. So why don't we go ahead and do just that? So what we're going to do here now is you're going to go ahead and pick and find the home that closest matches your home. So please go ahead and do that. Now they're going to rifle through those 8.5 by 11 feature sheets for each home, and they're going to pick one and they're going to hand it back to you and say, I think it's this one. And you say, okay, great, fantastic. So go ahead, if you could, what's your second best choice? And they'll give it back to you. So once they give it back to you, now you have a price range that who has picked? Them or you? They picked it. What's the advantage of that is if they pick it, they'll believe it. If you pick it, they won't believe it. It's really simple, but it's really important. So on the top of your talking pad, write down that price, whatever it is that they have picked in that price range. Then move forward, if you can, please, to the actives. Same exercise. Hand them the feature sheets. Please go ahead, have a look at them. And then first one, second one, write that down on your talking pad. So now you have a price range for your actives. Last but not least, of course, the most important one is the solds. Hand that to them, have them go through and match and pick that they pick the one that closest matches their home. At the end of the day, now you've got a price range. So now the question you'll ask in return, this is the important powerhouse question, is this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, now that we have picked a price together and you've actually picked the price, what price do you think we need to put your home at to get it sold? And then from there, they will go ahead and actually pick that price. If they pick the higher price, meaning way up into the expireds, you would ask this question. Well, I thought you were interested in putting your home in the market to sell it today. Aren't you, Brandon?
Yeah, I want to sell it.
Well, I agree. But as you remember earlier in our presentation, and we talked about this, you said you didn't want to end up on that list with those people that didn't get to meet their goals and dreams and work with a realtor they should have never worked with. Didn't you agree? You didn't want to do that?
Yeah, of course not. But I don't want to give my property away either.
No, of course you don't want to give it away, but you do want to sell, right?
Yeah.
So as you can see by putting it up here, odds of you selling are very, very small. So why would we do that? We do want to get it sold. We do have a time frame you need to get it sold in, and we've already explained to you by the price triangle that at the end of the day, if we don't use our timing right, we're not going to be moving by August 31st. So what do you think we should do?
And you're saying that if we list at your price, we can get close to that?
Very close. We'll get the job done for you. That is what we do. That's why we're professionals. And that is what I can guarantee. Fair enough?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, great. So now you've picked our price. The price is picked now. So now they're okay with your company, your marketing plan, and you've picked a price. So now you're getting ready to wrap up at the end and you're getting ready to close. So now, as I said earlier, you're going to talk about the forms. Of course, now you're going to go through a group of forms that do not have any information on them as far as that client goes. They're just blank forms. You're going to talk about the listing contract, the offer to purchase, maybe an amendment forms, and any other forms that you need to go through, such as agency and all the rest of it at this point in time. Obviously, you've probably talked about agency prior to this, if you've done that right. So then you go through all the forms and they're comfortable with the forms. You talk a little bit more about the details again, as far as the little things that are going to take place. Talk a little bit more about the timing. We've, of course, expressed that Brandon wants to move by August 31st, and that's something that's really been good for us to help us to move the situation along. So, and he's sticking to that, which is great, and helping, that really helps us as far as to get the ball rolling. And then when we're done talking about those three different areas, then we would move forward and we would actually say, well, what do you think? Together we can achieve more. What do you think, Brandon? Should we get the ball rolling today?
You didn't say whether you're going to cut your commission or not.
Oh, commission. Okay. Well, Brandon, as I said, there's a couple of different ways to look at commission. Personally, the answer is no, I would not. Any other questions?
Okay, I had to ask.
Okay, I understand. No problem. Everybody wants to ask, but it wouldn't be fair if I actually cut the commission for you and I don't do it for anybody else. Then that would make me be a liar, and I don't lie about anything. So what do you think? Should we get going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So at this point in time, then you'd say, thank you very much. You'd hand the listing contract over to the customer. You'd have them point out where they're supposed to sign. And from there, it's called signing assumptively. So I'll just touch on that very quickly. So we go through the actual listing presentation and we say, okay, well, here's me, here's my company, here's you, here's the amount of commission that I charge, here's the that we've already talked about, here's the, if you had talked about it, if you hadn't talked about it, just assumptively close, move over it. Here's the amount of commission I charge, here's the length of time we're going to work together, which is a minimum of 6 months to a year, minimum 6 months. Go ahead and sign there if you could, please. Then you as a realtor start to wrap up, meaning that you start to put things away and get ready to move on, as if they're going to sign without any question. They go ahead and sign it, and then you move on. Everybody wins. Problem solved. You are now a successful listing agent. I want to say thank you very much to Brandon for taking the time to be with us today and go through this process step by step. I hope it helps everybody. It'll be on our YouTube channel, and we look forward to working with you more in the near future. Call us anytime at the phone number that is actually here. That's Debbie's number, so don't call her. You'll bother her, but you can definitely call me at 780-608-3500. Thank you very much. Make it a great day. Signing off. Bye-bye now.